Welcome to another episode of For the Fowlers. Appreciate you guys checking back in. We got a couple of great guests on this week's episode. Excited to bring on Troy Miller and Blake Horton from Wingin It Waterfowl podcast. How we doing, boys?
Doing great. Appreciate you having us on today.
Yeah, thanks for letting us come on with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to have you guys on. We were talking a little bit before we went live here. Obviously I've been following you guys since I've been doing my podcast. It's been a handful of months, and I think you guys started in early September, but I wanted to get you guys on and, kind of obviously share your story. And, Blake is from Louisiana and Troy from Texas. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of get some guys from outside California and kind of share their hunting background and, ultimately why they wanted to jump on into podcasting, and we'll go from there. But why don't we start with you guys talking a little bit about yourselves? Troy, you want to kick it off?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm Troy Miller. I'm up in the Texas Panhandle. Amarillo area is probably the closest bigger town that anyone would know. Blake and I both grew up over on the east side of the Panhandle. Been friends our whole lives, so 33 years we've been together. I grew up on my family's ranch over in Wheeler County, right along the Oklahoma-Texas Panhandle state line. And my family runs cattle over there and grew up deer hunting, did some upland hunting, never got into waterfowl. So I started when I was 10 in deer and upland and stuff like that, dove, quail, stuff like that. And then I never got into waterfowl. Just the area that we were at wasn't prevalent, wasn't big, and really didn't know anyone that did it until, was it 2020. Me and Blake, after he moved, we both just, oddly enough, started at the same year, not even discussing it or anything like that. And I went with a friend of mine that moved up to Salt Lake City, went up to visit him, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go duck hunting?" I was like, sure, might as well. I'd love to hunt anything. And so I bought a pair of just Magellan waders and went up to Salt Lake City with him for a week. And we went out on one of the WMAs up there. And man, it was, looking back now, we had no idea what we were doing, but I was like, this is fun. I could see this. I sat there and those birds came in flying a million miles an hour that I wasn't expecting. And first one I shot, and it sailed. So it's kind of these long dikes that you walk up and down, and you just sit off each side of them at this WMA. And there was a ton of people. And I shot a scop, and it sat there and sailed over, and I was like, oh, I'll go get it. We didn't have a dog or anything. And I walk out there, and my buddy's like, you sure you want to go get that one? I was like, yeah, it's only a couple 100 yards out there. Man, that mud was up past my knees, and then the water was up to just above my belly button and everything. And I sit there, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I think I was 27, 26 at the time, 28, however old. And I sat there and got that bird, and it was one of the coolest deals ever. And I was like, I think I like this.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Just talking with some people, it's sometimes like it could be the most miserable experience, right? Like you had a great time, you got your bird, all that stuff, but just going out on that retrieve, people might be like halfway out and be like, or on their way back, like, why would anyone want to do this? I don't want to do, and I remember one of my first times going out, I was hunting the Bay here in the Bay Area or in Northern California, and it's kind of that quicksand that just kind of sucks in around you and stuff like that. And I'd say hey, you got to have a dog out there. But I was hooked, man. So, no, that's really cool. That's really cool. How about you, Blake?
Like Troy said, my name's Blake Horton. We've been friends since birth. I think 3 or 4 years or 3 or 4 months older than Troy. So I can say I've known Troy since birth. Both our parents grew up together, so we just kind of got stuck in it. I'm from the Wheeler area too. Just like him, my family runs cattle, has a ranch. Our ranches are not, what do you say, Troy, not even a mile from each other.
Oh yeah, they're right up against each other.
You're pretty much up against each other. So we've known each other for forever. We've been best friends, always running and gunning together, doing stuff, getting ourselves in trouble. So, I think 2020, I moved to East Texas for a fire job, and was in greater Houston area for about 3 years, 4 years. Met my wife I have now, and then we got married and moved to Louisiana, or got married, had our daughter, and moved to Louisiana about a year and a half ago. But really wasn't a duck hunter like Troy was. I mean, we grew up upland game, deer hunting, shoot turkeys every now and then off the feeder because they were eating our deer corn. Really never got into the waterfowl. I would always see a lot of ducks and geese at our ranch, but I mean, I didn't want to go sit out in the cold. Then I had some buddies at the fire department say, "Hey, you want to go duck hunt one time?" I'm like, "You know what? I'll try it." And they always joked with me. I mean, I just talked to one of them like 2 weeks ago. He's like, "I told you get hooked," and I was like, "Nah." I was like, I'm not gonna really get hooked. I said, I might enjoy it. I don't know about sitting in the water and having to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get in a boat and race down a marsh or a river trying to beat other people when I could go get in a deer stand right before sunlight and not have to worry about anything." And we went out there, and I think we were teal hunting or something like that. And I mean, those birds came in, and as everybody knows, it sounds like a jet engine going over. So it scared me at first. I was like, "What was that?" And they were just laughing at me. And then, I mean, sunlight came up and those teal came in and we shot them on. I like Troy. I decided to walk out there because I got on a buddy's boat and they let me hunt with them. And after that, I mean, I picked that bird up and I was like, "Oh man, this is not good." And I got back there like, "Are you hooked?" I said, "Yep." And probably 2 weeks later, I bought my own boat. 3 months later, before that, I had a dog already bought and in training, and it's just snowballed since then.
Yeah, that's great because it's funny. You think about like, waterfowl's expensive to get into, right? And I always kind of share with folks like, hey, you can go top of the line right out the gate, but it adds up, and maybe see if it's something you want to stick with, maybe give it a season, get out with a couple of guides, get out with some buddies who have been doing it for a while, see what you can borrow, see, all those different things. But that's funny, man. I haven't heard someone buying a boat in the first month. So, no, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had a lot of public land. I mean, it's not public land. You have to have a boat to get
Yeah.
anywhere on this river because, I mean, we got some marshes, but you got to be so far away. The landowners own up right up to the river that I used to hunt in Texas.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not like you could have walked in and hunted. You had to have a boat. So
Yeah, but still, I mean, even then, I'm like, hey, who in my group has a boat? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's a heck of an investment right there. But good for you, man. And yeah, I mean, you definitely knew you were hooked.
no,
So that,
the boat was not the best investment at first because I bought a boat and then I was like, "Troy, I bought a boat." He's like, "Awesome." So he decided to travel down to me. And I was like, we haven't told this story on our podcast. I mean, we went out this boat. I've been running this boat for like a month before Troy gets there. And it's a pro drive. Well, the guy I bought it for, I didn't know nothing. We didn't know nothing about boats. We grew up on a lake where we had big boats like ski boats.
Sure.
So we didn't have to worry about the pro drives where you had to put oil down in where the U-joints are to go burn everything up. We got about 3 miles in this river spot, and I blew the bottom out of my motor. And me and Troy paddled for probably a mile and a half to 2 before we finally found somebody to tow us back.
It was hours. And it was, I still got the scar on my back from it. I was leaning down there. We were trying to figure out, we thought we ran up on someone's jug line or got something caught up in the prop. And I was leaning down there and that exhaust, it just went, took a big old piece of flesh out of my back.
So, obviously kind of fast forward a little bit, let's talk about hunting today for you guys. And, I'd love to hear kind of like, what kind of hunting you do out in Texas, Troy, and same for you out in Louisiana, Blake. Troy, if you want to kick it off, kind of share your hunting style now and how that's all going.
Yeah. So, I kind of went the opposite route of making sure that I liked it and all that because I saw how expensive and how much money Blake had spent. So I was like, you know what, you got the stuff. I'm just gonna ride your coattails for a little bit and see if I enjoy this. And so I went down there several times made the trip. You know, at the time I was still working EMS, so I only worked 2-3 days a week, and so me and Blake could match our schedules up and go do a lot of hunting and fishing down there. And I think I did that for the first 2 years with him, and we went to Arkansas and stuff like that. And so I just kind of like, you know, Blake did a lot more of it, and I never did anything other than when I went down there to visit. So I kind of just watched them and learned from them. And then a couple years ago, I started hunting up here when Blake came up, and I have a lake here. It's a national park area, recreation area, and it's not exactly a duck mecca by any means, but to get to it, you either have to have a boat, and no one around here really runs much of the mud mode or stuff like that. And so, I mean, there's obviously not, I always joke, there's 7 of us in the panhandle, and we seem to always show up at the same time, at the same spot. But it's down in it's a canyon lake, and so it's a little bit different of a setup. But I set up my kayak, and I go out on the kayak, and then I have I think it's the extra large beaver tail sled, jet sled. And so I just run that like a trailer. And so I had a little fishing kayak, and that's what I went out and did some scouting after me and Blake went out when he brought the boat up that first year. Went out and found some spots, some areas that we wanted to go. We spent a whole day or two scouting and looking, because he's like, "Where do we go?" I was like, "I can only scout from the shoreline," because at the time I didn't even take out my kayak out there. And so we did that for a minute, and then I started going out on that kayak, and then I got me a dog, so I had to kind of retro the whole situation. So I still do kayak, but now my dog sits in between my legs, and I got to throw everything in the back in the jet sled. But
yeah, I wasn't sure if you're running
it's kind of a marsh
trailer now.
Yeah, just about. The way I do it is it's kind of a marsh almost area. It's not quite, but depending on the water levels really fluctuate out there, just depending on how much water they're letting off and transferring out and everything. But the biggest issue I run into out there is brush, is cover and brush, trying to find a good area. Because you could find like adequate areas where the water's at the right depth, the birds are wanting to be in there, but man, it is hard to find cover out there if the water hasn't come off and allowed everything to grow back like it has the last 2 or 3 years. And then there's some spots we call them playa lakes around here. Maybe we'll call them something different, just a little low.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. I know I heard on I think it was on Migration Waterfowl that you guys were discussing that, and I was kind of curious. Can you talk about the playa lakes a little bit and what those are?
Yeah, so where we live at, or where I live at, this area is called the Llano Estacado, which just basically means big tabletop. And so it's up kind of just as flat as could be. It's all grass. The only trees around are going to be down in little creek beds or in town. There's no actual natural trees. It's just a big grassland desert out here. And we have these little low areas that will hold if we get water, we'll hold water. And we have thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And so the years where we are in a drought, which we are most of the time, there's nothing. And then when we do get water, you'll have anywhere from like 2-3 inch deep up to 2-3 feet, depending on how low it is. And we have thousands of them. And so when we have those, they're fun to hunt because you can get out there. We did it in layout blind. And this year we had a lot of water in some areas, and it's weird. It's hard to figure them out because what ones hold water last year didn't hold them this year. So the place where I had permission, the places that I did have permission on this year, dried up, like 2 weeks before season. So it's just, one of those deals you find get you a layout blind and go lay out next to them along the shoreline and brush in. But
yeah, you've made a comment on
when we have the water, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, you've made a comment a couple times on Wingin It that I picked up on, and I think maybe it's like your oldest daughter, like you probably getting ready to hunt with you a little bit, but at the same time, where you go, you say it can be rough at times. So is that like due to the size of the lake, kind of going out there on the kayak? Are you kind of fighting some chop and some different I don't want to say weather, but is that because even
yes.
You made a and I was going to ask about that winter storm, that ice storm that you guys had last month that kind of swept across the country. I think you said hey, I'm hanging it up for the season, or at least for this week or whatever. So does it get pretty gnarly out there?
It does. And so, like I said, this lake it's a man-made lake. It's a canyon lake. And so we have the lake sitting right now is at 78 feet. And so, it's since it's a flooded canyon, I mean, it's just, there's drop offs everywhere. This lake
Yeah.
has killed so many people, hunters primarily, over the years. Heck, when we were growing up, we weren't. My family refused to go out there just because it has such a bad undertow in areas and it drops off. Like people go missing out there,
Yeah.
not all the time, but on a regular
Right.
enough basis, once every year or two. And so I'd never been out there till me and my wife started dating, and she's from here, so she went out there. But there was, up until this year, not been bad. Like I, play it safe. Like where I go, there's no one around. You have to drive a long way. If you don't have a boat to skip across the lake, you have to drive all the way up around it through these canyons back into it. And so there's no one around. The game warden shows up every now and then, but outside of that, it's just hunters if there's anyone there.
Mhm.
And I've always played it pretty safe. And this year, even playing it safe, I had one morning that the weather wasn't supposed to move in, and I was like, okay, well, if I get out of there at like 10, 11 a.m., I'll be fine, because it was like 2, 3 o'clock that the weather was supposed to start moving in. And I got out there, got way colder than it was supposed to be, and I started kayaking out, and that wind just picked up and coming down that canyon just concentrates it. And it was sitting there like white capping, coming over the side, got me and my dog in there with that little kayak trailer behind me.
Yeah.
And I had one of my pins, and I was like, it's about 800, 900 yards usually that I paddle one way. And I was sitting there going out there. I got up out there halfway, and I'm, just using a headlamp, and I'm out there. There's no one else parked out there, so I knew it was alone. I was like, is it too late to turn back? Because I was halfway there, and so I just turned it north, and I let the wind carry me, and I hunted out there, and I was like, yeah, that one was kind of stupid. And so after that, and I told my wife about it, she's like, don't be dumb, which I wear my life jacket and everything. I'm huge on that, being safe. But that was one of those just freak deals that know it can happen, but it wasn't supposed to, kind of deal. And so that's what, I don't have a boat yet. With it, I have plans to get a boat at some point, but my daughter, she enjoys deer hunting, but haven't got quite to the point where I'm like feeling safe enough that I want to take my daughter out unless I have an actual boat to get her in. Because I think she'd enjoy it. Like we were working with the calls today and everything, and she thinks it's so cool and she's all for it, but I don't think she's quite ready for the intensity of duck hunting.
No, that's really cool though, that, obviously you're exposing your kids to the outdoors. And, my whole thing, like, my listeners know my son, he's about 7 months, and I obviously hope that he, wants to get into hunting and do the things that I enjoy doing, but we'll kind of let him decide what he wants to do. But we'll definitely get him exposed to it for sure. But yeah, that's really cool, man. I appreciate you sharing that story. Blake, how about
Yes,
you? Talk a little bit about Louisiana.
It's a different ball game, that's for sure. I actually sold my mud boat a while back, about a year ago, right when I first moved to Louisiana. I deer hunt still. It's a different ball game around there. We do this. They call it steel hunting, which is where you sit and wait for the deer. But we also run dogs on deer, because it's so the forest is, the trees are so dense. I mean, you can't get in there. So the dogs run the deer out. We shoot them with shotguns. It's a whole. I mean, you can look it up on YouTube. It's fun, but it's a big ordeal there. So I sold it to get me a truck to run dogs with. But I mean, now I got a beaver tail boat, one of those small little layout boats, the Final Attacks. For my birthday that's coming up. So that's going to change everything for me next year. Recently I hunt right beside the Red River. That's the river that runs all the way from up here in Texas down into Louisiana, down into the Gulf of America. And so we hunt kind of off the river a little bit, and then we got some ponds. But a bunch of it's we call them the bayous down there. It's big old cypress trees. So a lot of wood ducks. I mean, we shoot. We can limit on wood ducks anywhere we want to go. That's no big deal. I mean, I got 4 ponds around my house that are within 5 minutes that I can wake up and go shoot my wood ducks and be done within 10 minutes. Just walk in, shoot them, and be done.
That's
But we
awesome.
also have some big, yeah, we also have some big lakes. Calahula Lake is a big lake around us. It's well known for duck hunting and the ancestry of duck hunting in Louisiana. I mean, you got guys that have had blinds out there, and it's been their great granddad's blind, and they're still hunting the same blinds. I was fortunate enough this year to go get invited to go hunt one of those blinds. I met a guy from the North American Waterfowler, his podcast, and found out he lives 30 minutes from me. So we
Oh, cool.
get to go out there and hunt. But that was a cool experience. I mean, that lake's huge. It's known for its canvasbacks. I mean, they got thousands of them in the air flying. So that was fun to see. But
That's all. No, that's great.
yeah, and it'll change for me next year having that beaver tail. We got a bunch of buddies that have one, or I do, down in my area, and I mean of course they're a bunch of rednecks that want to soup them up, so they got these beaver tails that are running 25 miles an hour in the marsh. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're gonna try to get Troy one here pretty soon, so he get ready for next season with his, and got some plans on some big hunts with those. So I'm looking forward to that.
No, that's great. For you guys, do you guys Troy? It sounds like maybe you primarily hunt solo. Is that kind of the way you prefer
Yes,
to
sir.
do it?
Well,
Yeah.
yes and no. I enjoy solo hunting, but I really enjoy hunting in a group. But man, I have tried to invite several people, just no one wants to get into it around here. Because I mean, it is, we're Central Flyway, but we're off the beaten path of the Central Flyway. And now for geese around this area, it's a big deal for geese, but for ducks, it's just not. It's not, a major part of the Flyway, and so you got to work for them. And there's a lot of skunks. Like this year, I mean, I hit limits a few times, once or twice this year, but I'm not a numbers guy by any means. But my biggest deal is not getting skunked, and I went 0 skunk days this year, so that for me was a win. But man, it's just hard to find people who want to go. I've invited a couple people from work and some buddies and stuff like that have gone before and are interested, but then just I want to sleep in. It's supposed to be 28, kind of deal. So
yeah, everyone wants.
I'm like, I've got an extra kayak, and they're like,
yeah.
I was like, I've got an extra kayak. You just have to meet me out there. Bring, supply your own gun, your own waders, and I've got everything else. And like, I don't know about doing that at 3:30 in the morning and paddling in the dark and all this stuff. I'm like, your loss.
Yeah, for sure. And then Blake, you have a crew out in Louisiana. It sounds like a little beaver tail group, or
Not really. I mean, I work for a guy. I run cattle in Louisiana. He runs cattle, so I work for him, and we'll hunt together, and I'll do a bunch of solo hunts too. Like Troy, I enjoy hunting with groups and hunting with people that love to duck hunt.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is to take my dog out and hunt by myself, because I more do it for my dog. I know people will probably disagree with that. Like, oh, you do it because you want to shoot birds, or you want to hunt, or you want this. I do it for my dog. I think I went on one hunt this year where I didn't get to take my dog, and it pretty much killed me, because I was like, they're not here long enough for us not to take them, and they work so hard for us. So I enjoy the solo hunts to get to go hunt with him and just have the one-on-one time with him.
Yeah, and your comment about doing it for the dogs, I got a couple buddies in my group that, that's their motivation as well. They are just as fine leaving their gun in the truck and it's going out in the blind with the buddies and just running their dog and working their dog and just seeing the joy that they get, because obviously a lot of work gets put into the pup, to get them up to speed. But also, you made the comment, like, they're not around that long, right? So no, that's awesome. out here we got the juniors weekend and the veterans weekend and stuff like that. And I got a buddy that he'll just go out and basically guide, just run the pup, So no, that's really cool. So you mentioned Troy real quick about you say, hey, bring your gun, bring your waders, I got everything else. What's like a typical loadout look for you, like going out with your on your kayak and stuff, like how many decoys are you normally running? 'Cause that's a lot of gear to haul out there.
For me, the way I don't have an A-frame or a panel blind or anything like that yet, and so I'm, like I said, cover is my biggest issue of finding it for spots wise, and so I just got a little AVNX swamp stool, gear pole. I've got a dog blind for my dog, and then I'll stick all that in the bottom, and then I run depending on time of season. Towards the end of season, I cut down a little bit, but in the middle of season, when I'm full on, I run about I'd say a dozen teal and about a dozen and a half mallards, dozen to a dozen and a half mallards. And then my big deal is I got a spinner, a cheap spinner this year, but outside of that, I don't have any motion other than jerk rigs. And I'll run, even just by myself, I hook it up and I'll run 2 jerk rigs so that I have lots of motion. And so I have a jerk spreader, and then I have just like the old school regular inline jerk rig. And so I'll kind of run those depending on what my area looks like. I'll kind of run them on edges, kind of give as much ripple effect and everything as I can. But
For sure.
that's pretty much what I'm running is, 2 to 2.5 dozen on the high end.
Okay. Nice. And Blake, what about you? What is a typical loadout look for the type of hunting you're doing?
Teal season, I'm throwing out probably 3 dozen, and I got about 3 spinners out. I mean, Louisiana is known for teal season. I mean, we have millions and millions of teal normally. This year was different. We didn't have as good teal season, but normally we do. Mid-season, I'll probably throw about half a dozen teal, a dozen mallards, and pintails. About a dozen pintails, depending. It depends. In the morning, I'll put a spinner out. I'll put a teal spinner out, and then I have a lot of the I think it's the Mojo ones. I can't remember which ones. We got the spitters.
Oh, like those
So
pulsator
I'll put
types?
2 of those out. The pulsators,
Okay.
yes, those.
Yeah.
And I'll put 2 of those out, keep those going all year long, and then towards the end of the season, I'll pull back and probably just put a dozen mallards out. By the end of the season, we normally don't have the pintail like we do in the beginning of the season, but still pulsators and I'll group the mallards up. Like normally beginning season, I'll mix everything in and out, but by the end of it, I pair everything up.
Nice. Well, I want to jump into the podcast, but before I do, you guys mentioned some good birds there, some mallards, pintail, and some people even love the teal. What's your guys' favorite bird to pursue?
Oh, man, that's hard. I'm not a greenhead. I mean, I will shoot a mallard anytime it comes in, but I'm not. I mean, we've said this we're not greenhead purists at all. I
Man,
think.
I have fun
Well, I
with
was gonna say,
teal.
let
I
me
love
ask it
teal.
this way, because the way I wrote it
But
was like, hey, what's your favorite bird to pursue? Like, hey, you're like, like it's just it's delicious on the plate, all that stuff. So you really want to try to get, but the second part is, what bird do you seem to harvest most of? You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like Troy said, we don't want to get skunked out there, so maybe we're harvesting maybe a less desirable bird on its own, but heck, it makes good jerky sticks or something, right? So how's that?
Yeah, I'd say my favorite bird overall is just the next one kind of deal. But primarily in my area, it's going to be teal, and we have a lot of pintail. Man, they're hard to get after. They're very wary birds and everything. So pintail and mallards is primarily what I have and what is available and what I'm after. And then the pintails, if I can get on them, I'm on them. But I'm always trying to get after the widgeon. They're hit or miss around here. and I have not got a stud widgeon yet. So that is on the hit list, is a real nice stud widgeon.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice. And Blake, what about you?
I'm a pintail guy. I
Mhm.
love the colors of a pintail. I love chasing a big sprig. I mean,
Yeah,
I will shoot a pintail before I shoot a mallard if it comes in.
sure.
That's just how. I mean, I've shot mallards. They taste all right. Pintail tastes all right, but when it comes down to it, I'm probably gonna shoot a wood duck. Unfortunately,
Okay.
it don't matter
Right.
where I'm at and what state I'm at, where I'm, what I'm doing. I'm probably going to end up with a wood duck. I love wood ducks. I love the way they taste. We shoot a lot of them, so mostly what we eat are wood ducks or mallards.
Yeah, just the type of hunting I do up here in Northern California, don't get too many opportunities to chase the wood ducks, but every now and then you might go out on a buddy's boat and hit the rivers, or if we get the, when we get a lot, like this year we had a lot of flooding and stuff, and so opens up some holes for some folks like myself that wouldn't normally have that access, but no, that's awesome, man. So well, let's jump into Wingin' It Waterfowl. Let's chat about that. And I gotta tell you, I love the name. How'd you guys come up with it?
We man, we threw around a ton of names, like, because I mean, we've been joking around about it for forever, even before we started duck hunting. You know, when podcasts first started coming around, like, man, we'd be great. We got tons of stories and everything. Off and on, we've joked about it, and then when we got into waterfowl and started getting real serious about it, like, we kind of both, like I said, jumped in feet first in
Mhm.
different ways. And last 2 years, we're like, we ought to do this, because we're both huge, our jobs and the way we travel and everything else, we're huge podcast people. I mean, I get tired of listening to music. I've been listening to podcasts for forever. I guess, it's the new talk radio kind of deal of our parents' day.
Yeah.
But we were joking around about it, and we were like, what would we even call it? And we were throwing around all these dumb names, trying to find, something that was catchy. And there's so many different podcasts and so many names already out there. We were trying to do play on words and everything, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I said, what do you think about? I said, we're just winging it or something like that, and it was like, yep, that's it. Let's go with it. And so kind
No,
of went from
I
there.
love it. No, I love it. And I
I was
think,
like, that's
you
how we
know,
hunt. So
that's what I was gonna say. Listening to you guys on your podcast, I think it's perfect for you guys. Like myself, we don't claim to be experts or whatnot. We're figuring it out as we go, and um, like you said, winging it. So no, that's awesome. Um, so what made you guys want to start a podcast?
Like Troy said, I mean, we talked about it forever. Me and Troy talk daily. Even though we podcast and we do a lot of episodes, we still talk daily.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not sending Snapchats to each other, it's texting each other. So we were just to the point, like, and Troy would probably say better than me. We were trying to, when we did this, we're like, we got to have a reason to be able to get on the computer and talk to each other, see each
yeah,
other, so our wives don't get mad at us.
yeah, it's one of those deals. We're already going to do this anyways, talk about waterfowl and, stuff like that. This gives us a reason to be on, like, hey, I got an 8:30 on Sunday with Blake, that I can't miss. The people need us. But they
Yeah,
don't.
I mean,
It's for our satisfaction and, our enjoyment. But I mean, it's taken off, pretty decently, better than we thought it would. And man, it's just been fun.
yeah, I mean, I just was nodding in agreement the whole time you guys were chatting there, because that's exactly why I put this together. Because like whether it's during season, off season, whatever it might be, like you guys, like I'm listening. I don't listen to music anymore. I mean, I do occasionally, but when I'm in the car, it's podcasts. It's just so entertaining, and you learn a lot and good conversation. And now with social media, I feel like we have access to those folks that we're listening to as well. So you can have a deeper conversation if you want, or follow up, or what have you. But with my buddies, we're chatting all the time. We're breaking down our hunt.
Hmm.
It'll be 3 a.m. We're talking on the way to the refuge or on the way to the blind. And then, we're breaking down the hunt on the way home, and like you guys, our wives would be like, "You guys were just together for 6 hours today. You know, you chatted the whole way home. Like, what's going on here?" So it got to the point where we're like, "Hey, let's just record this. Let's see if anyone wants to listen." You know, and then what's been kind of cool about it is, you know, it's like you said, "Hey, I got to record today. You know, I need to make sure I put something out by Monday." So, no, it's just good to have that kind of dedicated time, and no, it's been really cool. So, no, that's awesome. You know, was there a particular like, maybe not to name the show, but like, was there something out there that kind of inspired you to kind of set up Winging It the way you guys have, and you know, kind of the path you're going down with your guests and your content and stuff like that?
So that was guest and everything was very unexpected. Like we just kind of like, hey, these are the things that we listen to. This is the stuff we wish that they would talk about. Because I mean, you know, there's a million things that everyone's going to want, and you can't have a perfect one for everyone and hit every topic everyone wants to talk about. Like, let's just talk about things we want to talk about, things we want to hear, like, you know, bird numbers. A lot of people don't enjoy bird numbers. So when we first started, like, we ran, man, that was, I think, probably our longest episode still was like number 2 or 3. And we ran for almost 2 hours just going through all the harvest reports, the bird numbers, like all this stuff. And like, yeah, maybe we don't go that way. And then we just like, hey, we should just see if anyone would even be interested in coming on and talking with us. And so we got Tyler was our first guest, and it went over really well, and then kind of snowballed. And like, we don't want to be a guest only podcast, but at the same time, like, we don't shun away from it, and we're primarily guests now. But that was not at all what we envisioned with this. And kind of one thing that where I started was that we started in the beginning was like, what's in your blind bag, I'd do at the end. And I've kind of strayed away from that and everything, just because getting into timing and everything, man, we get to talking and we go too long, and no one wants to have a 3-hour podcast of listening to us every week. But yeah, it's definitely evolved from what we initially imagined of like, hey, let's just get on chat. We'll talk about previous hunts, talk about what we're doing scouting wise, what we're doing, tactics wise in season, what we're seeing, what science is telling us for bird numbers and migration reports and stuff like that is initially what we intended on sticking to. And like I said, it's just kind of evolved and taken off, and we've met some, I mean, just truly amazing people that we have relationships with now at this point, that it's just been a godsend, some of these people to have just as friends in our life and people to communicate with and everything. So I've been very fortunate with that. And like I said, not at all the way we thought it was going to go, but we were very pleased with the direction it did go.
Yeah, that's really,
Oh,
I mean,
go ahead, Blake.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's been one of our, I think, the biggest things. I mean, me and Troy still talk about it every day. Like, we didn't expect this to get big like it did. Are we as big as the other guys like Migration and all them? No. And if it don't get that big, we're still fine with it. But I would say now we have a circle of people that, I mean, me and Troy talk to every day. I mean, everybody that's behind Troy right now, we talk to at least once a week. Or, I mean, and it's just those random, like, Dylan from TFS texted me yesterday. He's like, hey, know you're on the deployment. How are you doing? How's the family doing? Everything good? I mean, it's just, and that's what we enjoy. We were hoping the duck hunting community would be like, I mean, because there could be people out there like, y'all's podcast is horrible, we're not listening to it, and just run us down, and we don't have that. I mean, we have people that back us, and I think that helps me and Troy a lot too, because it is hard the grind is hard, especially out of season now, that, hey, we got to still find people. We still got to be putting stuff out, because if we don't, people will stop listening, which we don't mind. I mean, we love this. We love what we're doing. So it's just having the support, I think, is one of the biggest things I've enjoyed from doing this, because we talk to people from Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Yeah, we're on we call it our Wisconsin tour right now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just one of those deals. Like, we get hooked up with one person, it's like, hey, you should talk to this person, or like they'll tell someone else, and they've contacted us on a few of them. So it's been great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and that's what's really cool about this, at least from my experience, is the network, the community, right? Because I mean, if you just kind of,
Oh yeah.
you know, so, hunting can be kind of territorial, right? And sometimes people are kind of, outside of your group can be, put a wall up and not want to chat about, they get really protective about their spots and, what, how things are going and things like that. But what's really cool is just kind of gives an avenue for me to talk about it with my buddies, talk about it with you guys, different guests. But, you know, then you figure in like the Instagram, like in some of the messages and the folks that I've met, it's been really cool. Like I like just people that I would have never met if I didn't start this. And no, it's been a blast, man. So no, that's really cool that that it's taken off for you guys like that. You know, when or like was there a moment where you guys were like, hey, we're on to something here, was it a particular episode, was it whatever it might be, where you're like, hey, we might have something here?
Hmm. I don't know. Like I said,
Well, if it's a particular episode, I mean, we were probably, I'd say, I don't remember who our 15th guest was.
yeah, I'm
I
trying
think,
to, the numbers wise, I couldn't tell you.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
and not even like the numbers, but I think it is kind of cool. Like when, we put this out, and I remember the first time when I kicked off my podcast is, you know, you don't know if it's just going to be, your family that checks in and listens, or, what kind of reach you could possibly have. And, that's what's been kind of cool is you start looking at like where folks are listening from, or like, you're starting to engage, like you said, you're engaging with folks up in, Wisconsin and kind of different parts of the country. I think it's pretty cool. And just the engagement, so,
Yeah.
yeah, like you
I
guys
know
said, we're
looking,
definitely not where we probably not necessarily where we want to be, but there's obviously the big guys in the podcast community, but that's not why I started this. You know what I mean? I still wake up and go to work every day. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, like we
so
have no intention of
yeah,
making this a full time by any means,
yeah,
but I guess I think it was Brian from Migration. I'd reached out to him. I was like, he's probably never going to say yes, but like early on, I just sent a message like, "Hey, we're starting a podcast. Would you be interested in talking to us?" It was right after we'd had our first guest or two, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to reach out to a couple people." And so I'd reached out to him, and he's like, "Yeah, things are pretty busy right now in season, but I'll get back with you." And then we kind of just marched on from there. And just out of the blue one day, he was like, "Hey, my season's freed up. Right now I'm pretty free if y'all still want to interested in talking." And so we had him on, and then it that was Thanksgiving area, I think, is when that
yeah,
what I was
debuted,
gonna
or
say, like the
Thanksgiving or
validation
somewhere
probably
around there.
came when he said,
And
"Hey
so,
guys, come on
holidays
my
kind of took
show."
a dip, but yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah,
that was
Yeah,
pretty nice.
yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
yeah,
And Brian is just like
yeah,
a very, very good guy. Like he is
Yeah,
great to talk to.
yeah, and like I said, that was a great.
and
Both were Well, I was just say both were great episodes, and for the listeners out there, go check it out on either Migration Waterfowl or Wingin It Waterfowl. Check out that episode with Brian and the boys. But when you listen to that episode, I mean, you guys had so many things that bonded you guys, other than just waterfowl too. So yeah, it was really cool.
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's what I was about to go with this. I mean, Brian is a great guy. He's a great Christian. Me and Troy have we haven't struggled with being Christians. I mean, we have, but like everybody does. But it was able to start talking about that with him, and I think one of my biggest things was the week after we had Brian, because we kind of went in, or we both talked about our religious part, and then we had Evan on with us. It's Evan, right, Troy?
Yeah, Evan. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, and that kind of, at that point, I don't know, and this is just me talking. I know Troy feels the same way to a point. It was just being able to talk to him. It kind of opened up, and I was like,
Hearing his story was, man,
yeah, hearing his story,
that is a dude
and I reached out
worthy
to
of a
Evan.
movie.
Yeah, I reached out to Evan because I seen a couple of TikTok posts, and he does those paintings, and in the bottom he has his pointer on there, his German short haired, and in that picture he's got a golden ribbon. And I was sitting there one night and I was thinking, as some people have, if they've listened to that episode, my brother-in-law died from a cancer about 4 years ago, and it's from the same type of cancer Evan had. So that gold ribbon stood out to me, and we kind of started talking. That's how I got onto him, and we asked him. And then when we hit that spot with him, I was like, there's a reason we're here. There's a reason we're talking to the people we're talking to, and this is it's about to go good for us.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I haven't listened to that episode. I just wrote it down. I'm gonna have to give that one a listen. And yeah, I appreciate you guys sharing that. Um, you know, when you think of Winging It, and I think you guys like are about 25 episodes in when we're recording this right now. Um, what's been kind of like the hardest part or the biggest learning curve? Because I mean, I'm assuming with your backgrounds, just like mine, like we're not content creators. We're not, like I'm learning editing and recording and all this stuff as we fly. But what's been the toughest part? Is it setting aside time? Like for me, it's one, developing the content, but also setting aside time from, our daily work, but also, having a 7-month-old now, like my job is busier, outside of work, than it is now. And then you got to factor in hunting season and all this. So, just time, but, what's been kind of I guess the biggest learning curve or the toughest part about, running the podcast?
I'd say it's a two-parter. Like one is time management for us because we are both dads. His daughter, I have 4 kids. I have 3 daughters, 11, 9, and 5, and then I have a son that's 19 months old. And then how old is Ryan? Is she 14 months old?
14 15? Or 15.
15, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
They're a couple months apart. So I mean, we both work full time and then have kids, and so we do this generally after the kids go to bed. And so that's a little bit of a struggle, is the time management. Trying to get with people is like trying to make that work, and also having time with the family, because I'm very adamant about trying to be adamant about that I have, that this doesn't take away from my time with my family. And so, and then the other part is I didn't even have social media when we started this. Like I'd been off for like 6 months of completely off social media and stuff like that. I'm not a big tech guy. So figuring out like, hey, what do we post? When do we post? All this stuff. How do we even get this rolling? So, and then editing, like I've never done any of that. Luckily, I mean, man, I just poured through YouTube for like weeks leading up to us starting this, and did, just reading all kinds of stuff in YouTube of what to use, how to use it, when to use it, kind of deal. And so definitely the social media and editing aspect, and then also just time management for us.
Yeah, that's been and I mean, a lot of people, they don't, I mean, we don't talk about this either, but me and Troy put our homework in. When we find a guest or find somebody,
we're talking constantly like, hey, have you looked into this person about this kind of stuff?
I mean, and we're searching social media. I mean, we'll look up like who they are, but we'll go back and try to find their profile, like a Facebook profile or TikTok. Like I'll go through TikTok and Troy go through Instagram, and we try to do our homework too. So we're not going into this like, we don't know you, you don't know us. We'll try to not make this awkward. We try to put our homework into, and we do that for the listeners more than us. Just that way we kind of could go into it like knowing, hey, they got these pictures or they've been doing this, or then that way we can kind of pick their brain. Like, hey, we seen on your profile like you were turkey hunting not too long ago. How did that go? And they're like, it kind of catches them off guard sometimes. They're like, oh, I didn't say nothing about turkey hunting, but here we go.
Yeah, so, I know you mentioned talking points, and I have one little notebook, but I write down everyone's information, and it's just I write down notes beforehand, and I'm like, I'll send Blake like, hey, make sure we don't ask the same questions. Make sure like,
Mhm.
what did you come up with, kind of deal. So we do try to put in our homework, and I don't. We've said it every time, I'm sure. But we don't do a script or anything like that. Very similar to how you do it. I have talking points, and our biggest
Mhm.
deal is we'll get carried away in a conversation, get to going good, and then I'll be like, oh, we didn't even talk about this if I didn't write in the early part where I was like, oh, we got it. I'll write down who they are, what they do, and we quickly realized like we need some kind of structure to make sure we at least hit the points we wanted to talk about. The whole reason for having this person talk to everyone.
100%. It's like when you reach out to someone, it's like, why do we want to have this conversation, right? And in the moment, you're like, I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I want to talk about, but it's like, hey, it's important that we write this down so that way, hey, we get on and like I like what you guys said. You guys try to get to know your guests a little bit before, and that way there's not like this dead air or this awkwardness on there, right? So, um, no, that's a really good idea, and that's probably a best practice that I'm gonna take on. I like what you were saying, Blake. You try to get to know the folks. And we obviously have conversations before we text back and forth, whatever it might be, and I really appreciate how quickly we set this up, but just myself as a fan of your show, listening for a while before I even reached out to you guys, you kind of get to know folks a little bit, and you hear talk about your family life and your work life and stuff like that. So, no, it's really good. So, um, well, cool. Let's see here. Looking at my notes here. Oh, here's something I wanted to ask you because you just mentioned YouTube and yeah, do you guys do any like recording of your hunts or anything? Is that something you guys plan on doing? Even
Yes.
like because I know
So
like you guys don't post a lot on Instagram about that, but I didn't know if that was maybe something you guys were thinking about doing with winging it.
So with the problem with us being separated is that we take at least one big trip every year. For me and Blake have done this for 10, 15 years, where used to we'd go snow skiing or something along those lines, and then we've transferred. We got older and don't bounce like we used to, and ski lift tickets are $200 a pop. So
Yeah.
we we stopped skiing. Um, we say it's because of the price, but I think it's because we got a little bit older.
It's
And
probably cheaper to stay skiing actually
yeah,
than going
maybe
out on duck
it
hunting
was.
trips.
Well,
But we
and
go on
and
duck
sorry
hunting
to
trips and
interrupt,
get
but
together, and we
I was going to say sorry to interrupt, but I heard on one of your episodes like you guys are not that close. I think it's like what you say, like a 10-hour drive or something. Like
Yeah, it's about
eight
9 to
to
10
ten.
hours.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean
that's a hike,
it's not close.
Yeah.
with kids it's 16, but
Yeah, right. I'm learning that right now. Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
yeah,
please continue.
yeah. So we take one big trip every year, and this last year we went to Nebraska. Never been there
Mhm.
before, um, and so we talked about it, and we did do some filming. Blake and our other buddy Addison, they did some. They had cameras and everything, and so they did like the GoPro mounts and stuff like that. And so we did get some filming done. I haven't bought that equipment yet, um, but that is the plan as we roll forward. Is because I was like, man, I don't want to spend a bunch of money, $400 or $500 on a camera, and then this and this and this, and they already a lot of their stuff they'd already had.
Yeah.
But we do plan on doing some filming, doing our solo hunts, doing our
Yeah.
big hunts together and stuff like that. Going forward, we're hopefully going to have some of this last season from Nebraska up
Oh, cool.
here in the near future. We're like I said, we're not computer people, so Addison got some editing software, and I think Blake has some that he's done a little bit
Yeah.
on. I've posted some shorts that Blake's sent us, but we're hopefully by next season be kind of rolling pretty steady with that.
Yeah. And it's not that we don't want people knowing where we're hunting, but we don't want through the season. Me and Addison kind of sat down and talked about it. We're like, we're gonna wait till the season's over because some of the places that we do go to, it's not gonna be. If you've been there, you know where we're gonna be
Yeah.
at, and it's not. I guess it is kind of being selfish, but in return, it's not because we put in a lot of work into our spots and where we want to go
Yeah.
and do a lot of scouting. So most of our videos will go out probably in the next month or two. The
Yeah,
some
and
of the Nebraska ones have been out, but we don't hunt. We're not in Nebraska year round, so and we got we're very fortunate. We got permission on a bunch of private land when we were in Nebraska too, so that kind of helped out of us getting to hunt more places and stuff. So
yeah, and I think that's the right play. I mean, even if you think about it from obviously the spot burning perspective, yeah, totally get it. You know, like you guys work hard to find these spots, and but from a content side is now you can kind of take your 100 days or whatever, however many hunts you have out there, and you can kind of I don't want to say like cherry pick the best hunts, but you see these folks that they might go weeks without putting out any sort of video or whatnot because maybe they didn't go out or maybe they got skunked or whatever it might be. So it's just kind of one more source of pressure, I guess, or to put out the content. So
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we do have
Well,
plans
cool.
definitely for YouTube, but I mean, we're not trying to become big YouTubers. It's just, like, hey,
Yeah.
here's what we do if you want to see it kind of deal.
Well, and you hear about even like and I post on YouTube just basically the audio file from my podcast, but as far as the content goes, I mean, I don't even know what it seems like. Almost anything can get you a strike or all those different things. So it's just it's tough, man. It's a tough platform to navigate. And I
Yeah.
love YouTube. I mean, I, I as many podcasts as I listen to, I probably watch 20 times as much YouTube. So, um, yeah. Well, cool. Well, we're approaching an hour here, and I always try to kind of keep it around that. We'll kind of bring it back to hunting, and we'll kind of close out here. But one of the things I did want to ask about was you mentioned you guys do kind of an annual trip, and I know that from listening to you guys. Um, is there maybe an individual or a joint bucket list trip that you guys have out there? And then I guess my kind of bonus question there would be, is California a possible destination? Do you guys have any desire to come out here and, hunt the rice of the Sac Valley or get up in the marsh near the Buttes or, do some diver hunting out on the bay? Like, have you guys looked into any of that?
Yeah. So we
yeah,
had talked about it. Yeah, we'd talked about it and we're like, man, so right now our kids are pretty little, for the most part, and they're not really hunting yet. And so like the bucket list stuff are like, hey, first off, financial wise, those are some big swings when you get into the stuff that we want to do. And then
Sure.
second off, like we don't want to take these trips till our kids are old enough because we want them to be able to go with us and be like,
yeah,
how many times are you going to get to go to Alaska or Canada, or for
Yeah.
us to make it out to California or to the Eastern Shore and go diver hunting, anything like that, those are some pretty big deals. And so we're like, man, let's do some manageable stuff now. And we've got the bucket list. Like, we would love to go to Canada. Me and Blake, we first off, kind of talked some trash on some diver hunters, some of them, just that high and mighty kind of deal on some of the people that we know that have diver hunted. But no, we definitely want to go and do the layout boats and all that stuff out in the ocean.
Yeah.
But those, me and Blake have talked about it several times. Like, everything we have planned for the near future, couple years, is probably going to be, Midwest, area, maybe closer to the south where we're at, stuff like that. Nothing, definitely getting out of our home zones,
Hmm.
but something that's manageable and drivable in a day or so. And then when the kids are older, when we're a little more financially stable, stuff like that, then we'll hit those. That way we have those memories with the kids, and because yeah, one of my biggest deals is memories from my childhood of growing up hunting with my family and stuff like that. But I mean, we never once never been on any kind of like guided hunt in my life or
Yeah.
anything like that, or
Okay.
gone to any big destination hunt. I mean, like, I know what of my kids that do like to hunt it, I want them to be able to go and be like, hey, remember that time we went to Canada or Alaska or California or wherever. But and then we have talked about California, like that would be definitely
yeah.
something that we would want to do, especially with the 7 bird limit over there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Come out here and get your three
Yeah. I mean,
pintail.
Yes, sir.
yeah, yeah. like Troy said, probably one of our number one deals is Canada. Just because, I mean, you hear all the stories, and we've talked to several people, and they're like, if you're going to pick one hunt that's big for y'all, at least go to Canada once in your life. And that's, I mean, I want my daughter. I mean, I don't think I got to work hard for my daughter to be stuck with duck hunting because every time I come home with a limit of ducks or just ducks I've shot, she carries around the back porch while I'm trying to clean them. So I got to go chase her around to get the dang ducks from her so I can clean them. So, but I mean, not even that. It's just getting out and doing the big hunts. We enjoy that. It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a time that me and Troy don't like to see each other that much either anymore. So we get to catch back up and spend. I mean, I don't have a brother. I just have a sister. Troy's my brother. I mean, it's kind of just getting back to being brothers again. And I mean, California's been on our list. We've talked about it. It's just, it's a 2-day drive unless we fly, and then it's gonna be hard to fly in with our guns and everything else from what I've heard.
Dogs.
So, and dog, I mean, yeah, the dogs are a hard thing too. If I can't take my dog, I almost don't want to go. And that's pretty selfish to a point, but also, like I said earlier, I mean, our dogs are, we spend a lot of money on them, and they're just as much family to us as our children are. I mean,
No, I hear you on that for sure. But we got all that stuff out here for you. So if you come out for a few days or whatnot, I know you'll miss the pup and everything, but we got everything you need. But if you guys, let's stay in touch. If you guys, put that on the books, let me know. We'll connect in
Oh,
person for
definitely.
sure.
oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Nice. Well, how about kind of a fun one? I did an episode, kind of an unwritten rules of duck hunting and some, pet peeves and stuff like that. Is there something that just really you guys just kind of shake your head at, or just really kind of, grinds your gears when it comes to waterfowl hunting? It doesn't have to be anything too serious, but some of the things you
Oh.
guys see out there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very big on it. We're very big on etiquette and, being, it's not a gentleman's sport per se anymore, like, original duck hunting was in England and all that stuff. It's come a long way and evolved a lot. But at the same time, respect for A, the area that you're hunting in, and B, the people that you're hunting around. And my biggest pet peeve is people that walk in at shooting light and comes, you can shine the light at them, hoop and holler and whatever, and they don't care, and they will walk right in or boat right in and sit right on top of you, and then they just fling lead at everything, drinking beer, whatever, and then just leave it. They'll leave before everyone else, and then I've paddled through so many times, there's just shells everywhere, shell holes, trash, everything. So that's just the disrespect is my biggest pet peeve of your area and the people you're hunting around.
For sure. Blake?
Yeah, mine's to that too. Mine's a lot more of the calling aspect and sky blasting. I mean, I can't tell you how many times me and Troy have been, and I'm not ever gonna say I have not sky blasted a bird. I mean, I'm very one of those people. I'll give you 3 passes, and then if you're coming in on the 4th and you're not about to land and you're within the 20, 30 yards, I'm not gonna let you put your feet down. I've worked too much to get you in. I'm about to. If you're gonna give me another shot, I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna shoot way up in the air. They're gonna be pretty close. I mean, in the points where I can take an ethical shot and get you on the water. But that's one of my biggest deals. I mean, when you're working a set of birds, and you're over there and can barely breathe because you've been running that call, and the group that's 150 yards from you because they didn't want to give you the etiquette of sitting 300 yards and being a decent, because the law says you got to be 100 yards from each other, or however your laws say it, don't mean to be that person. I mean, I get on a soapbox about this. It's just one of those. I'm like, man, we got here earlier. If you want to get here earlier, that's fine. or at least, and there's several times me and Troy been out. Even when we were in Nebraska, I mean, we show up to some of these public marshes, and we would ask the guys that were already there, "Hey, where are you hunting?" And like
Mm.
show it on the map. Okay, we're going to hunt this far away from you. Is that far enough to be away from you that you feel like it's far enough? And it's either a yes or a no, and we come to an agreement. And we talk about. I mean, it's like, hey, if I'm working a set of birds, or you go to stop work, or will you leave them alone? And that's one of my biggest things. I hate working birds, and if someone 100 yards away wants to shoot at your birds
Or start
that you've been
calling at
working
them,
on,
trying to
or
pull
start
them.
calling
Yeah.
at them too, and I'm like, at that point, I just stopped calling, and I mean, you're the luckier or not.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I truly don't believe that we're just like, all talk on here, but when you listen to waterfowl podcasts, we all seem to be aligned on, being ethical out there, having good etiquette, things like that, like the things that frustrate us. And it's almost like, man, we either need these other hunters who are kind of being the yahoos or whatever however you want to describe them, either start a podcast or listen to ours or whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
it's because what's been kind of cool about the podcasting is I'm like, okay, there are still some good guys out there, right? Because the harvest of the game is such a small part for me. Part of it is like,
Oh yeah.
being out in the marsh or in the rice or whatever it might be. Like, this is my time away from home, away from work. Like, I didn't come out here to argue with some 20-year-old kid, or worry about, getting peppered because someone sat up, 50 yards away or whatever it might be. It's just not worth it for me. Like, I'd much rather just leave and, be like, just call it a day. But no, that those are two great examples, and I guess it's probably a good segue into kind of my last question for you guys. And it could be about waterfowl, like hunting, or it could be about podcasting. But what would be kind of a piece of advice for someone who's looking to get into either, whether it's, maybe they're already a waterfowl hunter and they're thinking about diving into the podcast world, or, maybe they are driving down the street and, their friends waterfowl hunt and they're listening to the podcast and, thinking, hey, that might be something I want to do, but I just don't know how to get started, or, whatever it might be. What would be your kind of your parting words for them?
So I guess my biggest deal is it's, waterfowl hunting specific, or any kind of hunting or anything in life really, but find a mentor, like someone that either knows more than you or is willing to like learn it with you, kind of thing. But maybe, because I mean, me and Blake, we started in this late in life. We neither one of us knew anything about waterfowl hunting. We started at the same time. I think technically I started first, but we started at the same time, and Blake dove in head first and had the area. And me and Blake just constantly, like, I mean, on the calls, every time I'm in the blind and like he's hunting or I'm hunting, we're on the phone constantly, like, hey, FaceTime, like, what do you think of this spread? What do you think of that? Because I had no idea what I was doing when I first started solo hunting. Outside of that, I'd been with people that always knew. And so find someone that can kind of mentor you and use them. Don't abuse them, but use them. Like, don't be going and stealing their spots and taking your buddies and stuff like that. But even if you don't have someone in your local community that can take you out, and you're kind of in a weird, not big on duck hunting area like I am, I lean hard on Blake and Addison and some of these other guys that, I'm all the time like, hey, what do I need to do? I'm trying this and it's not working, and then watch the birds. That's my biggest advice. Just spend some time actually watching the birds.
Yeah,
Blake?
I agree with Troy. There's, I guess I want to kind of like add something to the mentor. Yes, have a good mentor, have a mentor, but make sure it's a good. This is the hard part, is making sure it's a good mentor, someone that has the passion that you want. I mean, and I feel like whoever your mentor is, if they have a good passion for the duck hunting, you're gonna have a good passion. If they have a bad outlook and they're gonna be the turd heads that sit up like this, you're going to follow in their footsteps because that's all you know how to do. So I feel like having a good mentor is, and the right one's the right way to go. I mean, also on top of that, you don't have to be like me. Don't go spending all the money. Uh, Shotgun from Academy with a set of Magellan waders and a dozen decoys will do as much as to a point will do as much as somebody with a Prodigy boat that has 10 dozen decoys and the biggest and best shotgun out there with the most expensive ammo you can find and the best looking clothing.
Yeah.
I started off with Magellans. I have a Academy shotgun that I still shoot to this day. It's my favorite gun. I mean, I have an expensive shotgun that I normally don't take out because I rather shoot my Academy shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Just you don't have to spend all the money to become a good duck hunter.
Yeah, don't get
And
drawn into
that's the
social
hardest
media.
part. Social media is hard because you watch all these people, and I was there too when I first. I'm like, man, look, all these guys. They got pile picks. They're shooting mallards. They're doing all this. It took me almost 2 years to understand. Like, I'm more happy to shoot my teal or my wood ducks and go home than spending all that money to look cool. I mean, I don't do it to look cool. I do it because I enjoy it and
Mm-hmm.
I get to spend time with the Lord out in His creation. So,
Yeah. Well, amen, man. Great advice from both of you guys there. Well, hey guys, I honestly I can't thank you enough for coming on. Like I said, before, big fan of your guys' show. You guys are killing it out there. Keep up the great work. Excited to see what the next 25 episodes look like, and excited to listen to that. And I'll keep following along. But before we jump off, how can the folks out here find you guys?
So we are Wingin It Waterfowl podcast. It's just a period in between each word on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And then Blake, what is the TikTok? He
it
runs
is
the
Winging It
TikTok.
Waterfowl on TikTok.
Yep. So
It
you
will
just
let me
look up
put podcasts. So,
Yeah, Wingin' It Waterfowl, Wingin' It Waterfowl podcast will get you pretty much anything on us. Reach out to us. Our email is just wingingitwaterfowl@gmail. And I mean, it's just us, so
yeah.
you're going to hear from us if you talk to us. And I answer messages. Either if I don't, we both have access to it because there's times where I'm working and someone will hit us up and be like, hey, you want me to answer? And I'm like, yes, please. So, I mean, one of the two of us, you're going to get to talk to. And we're pretty receptive and usually get back to you as quick as we can. And we'll answer. I've helped one or two guys out in this area like, hey, I'm wanting to get into waterfowl hunting. Where can I go? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to give you my X, but I'm not going to send you my spots, but I will go tell you the general area where you can start looking and go find out on your own. I've spent too many kayak miles finding these X's to give them away.
There you go. Troy's offering his Troy's a public mentor out there. So hit Troy up. Yeah, mentor for hire. Well, boys. Hey, honestly, I can't thank you enough. I know it's late out there. Really appreciate it. And yeah, man, let's stay in touch and enjoy the off season.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. See you, boys.
See ya.